Yo, what up? It's your boy Jeffrey, aka Papa J, man, and you are tuned in to another episode of Just Talking with Jeffrey. Let's go. Man, I am so excited. Like always, man. Listen, it's another day that I'm here. Another day that you are tuned in to me, your boy. And I know it's been a minute, I know it's been a while. So before I get into today's episode, today's topic, which is a very key topic, not just for one side of the spectrum. It's really, first and foremost, it's going to be geared around the men. But it's just kind of something that can, translate to women as well. Talking about mental health. It's talking about mental health. And like I said, over the last couple of, days, weeks, I've been dealing with it in a small fashion. However, still been dealing with it. So I'm just finna bring it out to you today. But like I said, before I get into the episode, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And, listen, all my other social media platforms will be down in the description. Yeah, man. So I watched this video and it really hit home about a few things that, I'm going to be talking about in this episode. So I really want for y'all to just kind of take a, look at this and let's learn and grow from this, right? Let's learn and grow from this. And I'm talking about not just from the male perspective, but from the women as well. Just understand the reality and severity of, what I'm about to show you.
Be honest, who do you call when you are at your lowest? Who is that one person?
Nobody. I'm a man. No one cares.
Not a single soul. Nobody.
No one. Because I'm all alone.
I think I speak for a lot of people when I say I don't call anyone.
Nobody. I'm a guy. Nobody gives a shit.
Speaking for the guys when I say this, literally no one.
Y'all call someone?
Nobody. Just nobody. Got no one to talk to, so nobody. Who cares? Nobody.
No one. I'm a man. No one cares.
No one. Not a single fucking person.
I wouldn't call anyone. I wouldn't turn to a single person on this earth because they don't care. They will just find a way to use it against me one day.
We can call somebody?
Let's get into it. So over the last couple of days, like I said, I've been dealing with some, not like I said, it's not so heavy, but still been dealing with mental health issues, dealing with, a lot of things that has just kind of bogged me down time-wise, and then just, like I said, mentally. Like I said, first and foremost, I'm just going to be speaking to my guys and how you guys should be able to find a way, an avenue of being able to deal with it, being able to manage it, being able to cope with it. I speak from experience, and that is the best way of being able to communicate with anybody, is really through experience. I've learned that over the years, when you're talking through a book experience or talking through an educational standpoint, you can sometimes alienate certain people, and the conversation can go from yeah to okay, whatever, because you're not freaking speaking from a world perspective. And for somebody like me, I need somebody who, yes, can be, book smart, but I also need somebody who is, street smart. Somebody who is not only book experience, but somebody who is real world experience. Somebody who's dealt with, what I'm dealing with. And I can speak for many other men that, and really anybody else, that it's a lot easier to break certain barriers when you can talk through experience, when you can when you can have whoever it is that you're talking to be able to relate to you through experience and not what you read out of the book. Because I can tell you right now, I've had many conversations with people where it all reverted back to, oh, well, what I learned out of this book, what I read out of this book. Time out. Stop right there. That don't really, bode well with me all the time. Why? Because what have you actually experienced? Like, you can't tell me, oh, well, I read that, a man should be able to do this or a female should be able to do that because here's what the studies show. Here's what does the experience show? If you can't say, man, listen, I'm not gonna lie. The other day I was dealing with depression, and I felt that, what I needed to do was, take a breather, take a break, go for a walk. And after doing those sort of things, I was able to actually start, feeling a lot calmer. I was able to, get to a right place, right? And then if you can't talk to me through that way, then once again, you're gonna lose me, because it's gonna be one of those things. Like I said, well, if you never actually dealt with it, if you never actually experienced it, how are you gonna tell me how to cope with what I'm dealing with? Because, like I said, experience, it all matters. I talked about this actually in another episode with my wife on, when me and her, when we lost our last daughter. It was one of those things where I really didn't quite understand and know how to deal with it, because that was the first time I've ever dealt with it. But from the beginning, from the first point in which, the doctor told us what was going on, her condition, to, her date that she was actually born, and when she passed in my arms, I was going through so many different things, just thinking about so many different things, had so many different emotions. And I can tell you, it just had me on another level that I've never experienced in my life. And I can tell you, for the most part, for people who really know me, I'm typically an upbeat person. I'm always, fun to be around. Listen, man, I can, light up a room if need be. But I can definitely tell you that those 9 months was tough for me. And I'm not even gonna say just the 9 months. It was 9+ months, because I had to deal with the after effect of after, she was born and died. It was definitely tough for me, to where I was, like I said, not in the right frame of mind. Although on the surface it may have seemed like I was, good, and I was, calm and copacetic. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I was mentally not there. I was mentally at a place where it was like, man, can I deal with what's going on a regular? Can I, open up and speak to my family and friends the way I normally speak to them? It was just so much, that I had to deal with. And like I said, I had to keep it cool. I had to keep it calm. And it's one of those things where they tell you, man, listen, as a man, you have to be able to bottle those things up and just move on. Bottle those things up and not talk about it. Shut up and, perform. And I've always had that mindset. And this was just, like I said, one of those things where I just had to start finding within myself, how do I overcome those things? How do I break out of those? Because if I keep to myself mentally, if I keep to myself, I can internally start breaking down, start damaging my mental health. And what sort of avenues are out there for me to deal with these things? That was just my mindset. That was just where I was. And I just think over time, as I just started to read more on ways of dealing with mental health, when I started to just listen to more people who talked about mental health, and then just started putting those things into actual practice, I started to really see myself just become a little, become different, because at the end of the day, it was one of those things, and somebody said it, you have to be able to rely on someone, have to be able to speak with someone. If not, then once again, you go through these things on your own, and you try to find things, ways of dealing with it on your own. I'm not gonna lie to you. I drank a lot, and I thought that was a way of coping. I shut out my family a lot, and I thought that was a way of me coping and being able to, first off, find out what my emotions were and how to deal with those emotions by myself. And obviously, as time went on, obviously I knew that that wasn't obviously working. So I just went back to what I knew. And also I left the gym. I wasn't working out. I wasn't, keeping myself physically fit. I just started just saying, you know what, forget all of that stuff and let me find a new route of being able to deal with this. And like I said, I left all that alone. And I can definitely tell you there was a point in time when, me and my wife, we were on the brink of divorce. And that played another part in everything, because once again, I was at this point where, okay, we lost our daughter. I was going through work transition, and obviously I'm not in that headspace as to where I am normally. And listen, I just didn't really have that much of a care for a lot of things. And I just said, you know what? Whatever the best way I know how to deal with it, I'm going to deal with it. And I'm going to deal with it alone, because as a man, hey, it was one of those things. Who do you actually turn to? Who do you actually go to actually, have that sit down in that conversation and say, hey, listen, this is what it is. Help me. And at that point in time, I had none of that. I didn't, feel that I had someone where I can sit down and say, hey, listen, help me. Right? Let's talk about it. Fast forward, I began to, like I said, as I started to work on myself, work on what I know was, helping me, I started to see a change. First thing first, I had to sit down with my wife, and we just said, hey, listen, let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about what we need to do to get back on track. We figured it out. We came up with a game plan, being able to spend a lot more time with each other. It's the obvious, right? Being able to spend a lot more time with each other, spend a lot more time with, our kids that we do have. And then just like I said, having time to ourselves to have a mental break, because for those who are married, you already know, man, listen, there is nothing wrong with having a day, a few hours to yourself to have a mental check-in, right? Because if you are not good for yourself, you will not be any good for anybody around you. There's no way that you can tell yourself or go tell somebody else, hey, listen, man, maybe you should go do this. Maybe you should go do that. Trying to, give somebody else advice, and on the other end or behind closed doors, you're still dealing with your own demon. So it was first and foremost, like I said, for us to understand that, it's okay to where, babe, hey, listen, you go have a day or two, to yourself, have a, spa day, go and do whatever it is that you need to do for a couple of hours, by all means, take time to yourself. And then vice versa, her telling me the same thing, but with the understanding that, obviously we're not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize our own morals, our marriage, and then, just our family. So us having that conversation, put me in that mind frame of, okay, you know what? Yes, I do have that outlet of being able to speak with her, but maybe not everything, right? Maybe it was one of those, maybe I should be able to just kind of keep, certain things bottled up, because at the end of the day, do I want to look lesser of a man? I was still at that point. Once again, it was still, raw to me. It was still fresh to me. So it was one of those things. Yes, tell her, but not tell her everything. Let her know, but don't let her know everything. So I just kind of continued on, we still continue to work on ourselves. And it was still something telling me and something, holding me back to where it was like, man, you know what, Jeffrey, you're not there yet. You're not 100% there yet. I was just continuously trying to find out what was it that I needed to do to get me back in the right frame of mind. And I was not who I wanted to be. I did not see myself as the person that I knew I could be. And I just continue to read. I continue to, exercise. I continue to, listen to different podcasts. And I'm not just saying any old podcast. I'm talking about obviously motivational podcasts. Les Brown, Eric Thomas, Inky Johnson. Just all these guys who, are motivating. I started listening to Clayton Jennings. All of these guys who are putting positive vibes out there, just telling you, obviously giving you affirmations. So that once again, as I started to think right, obviously, or listen to these things that's keeping me motivated, my whole frame of mind just started to change. It was more of me being able to communicate more with my wife, and I knew it had to start there. So obviously I had to get myself right with her before, I got right with anybody else. Well, actually, I got myself right with myself first, then I got right with her, and then, I started working on being able to fully get myself right with everybody else, because once again, the me that people saw was a fake me. Right, I didn't want people to see this Jeffrey and be like, "Oh, that's how he is now." That was a fake me. I really wanted people to see who I really was. Very charismatic, yet sarcastic. A funny sarcastic, not this, arrogant and annoying sarcastic. I was a funny sarcastic. I started to really see a change, not only in how I composed myself, how I, went about my day, but then also how I felt physically, right? Because that also led into me saying to myself, man, I need to start eating right? Because although I'm getting this right, my body is still not feeling 100% right because of all of the alcohol consumption that I did within that time period of losing my daughter till the time I actually started working back on myself. So I just wasn't feeling right. So I said, hey, listen, what do I need to do to actually get myself better, right? I need to start eating better. It was small dieting here and there. I was obviously forcing myself to, change the way I ate. And like I said, it was a rough beginning to that part of it. I did not want to change how I ate. I loved my steak, my chicken, all of that. And it was hard for me to say I'm going from this heavy consumption of steak, chicken, whatever it was, to now, all right, a smaller portion of it throughout the week. But as I started to eat better, I noticed and, I started feeling a lot better. Everybody put on some COVID weight. I went from 197 or something like that, 198, I got up to a unhealthy 210, 215, I think it was, or something like that. The highest I think I got was like 215, but it wasn't like, muscles. It wasn't a healthy, weight gain. And as I'm looking at myself, I'm growing this dad bod, and I said, man, I can't keep down this track, because I just know for me, my mental and how I was always thinking of, this figure I would like to be or have. I said, you know what, that's not what I want. This beer belly and, that just didn't sit well with me. So I guess I started to eat better, and I started to shed that weight. So a combination of eating better as well as working out on a daily basis, I started to, shed weight and then, turn that into muscles. and just started to like I said, really start looking and feeling a whole lot better. I'm gonna kind of turn it a little bit, right? Kind of go a little bit left, right? Because I for 9 years or 9.5 years, I worked with this organization that helped at-risk youth, and I can tell you that was the most fulfilling thing in my life, and I owe it to myself to mentor the younger population, and hopefully one day start my own nonprofit organization working with at-risk youth again. But I can definitely tell you, I started to where I currently work at, just started to take some of those kids under my wing and start mentoring them in a way where they're seeing a better them. So as we can see nowadays, a lot of the young people are in a single family home. And when we're talking single family home, sometimes it's not even, just mom or just dad. We're talking about grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle. And it's hurting the generation under us, right? So you're talking about the Gen Zs, and whatever else the next gen is out, but it's really hurting this new generation, because these kids they're looking for the older generation that can guide them in a positive light. However, when you're looking on a day-to-day basis throughout, whether it's social media or the news, these kids are being shown all that is negative, right? You're talking about trends that ask them to do complete ridiculousness, right? Who can break, whatever these TikTok trends are, right? These trends are not uplifting these kids. These trends are not putting these kids in a positive mindset to where, man, listen, hey, I can be, this, I can do that, I can, overcome this. It's putting them in the mindset of, man, I can't stand life. I hate this. I want to kill myself. And I said to myself, man, listen, with the knowledge that I have, how do I share that with this younger population? How do I share that with this younger generation? And, how do I get them to be able to see that they can be a success? So I say all that to say that, listen, men, if you have a wealth of knowledge, even if you don't have a wealth of knowledge, but you have a wealth of experience, right? Real world experience. Listen, share that with somebody who is younger, who is needing that. Somebody who may not have a father figure. Heck, somebody who does have a father figure, but still needs a little bit of advice from a different perspective. Because I know a lot of kids tend to not really listen to their parents, but will listen to somebody else who is outside, who will come with a different perspective to be able to tell them, hey, listen, this is what I know and what I've seen and what I would like for you to see and what I would like for you to know and how I would like for you to experience life. And I promise you, one child at a time, can change up an entire way of, can change an entire generation, right? Future generation, because we're seeing that this cycle of, just a broken cycle. We see that it's continuous, right? And we always ask ourselves, who is going to be that one to break the cycle? And you never know. You might be in a setting where you're, having a conversation with a, teenager, young adult, whoever it may be, and something clicks in their mind because of something that you said and how they see that you're carrying yourself. And then guess what? Boom. Here we go. We got one, being able to start the, you know, we see the wheels turning, and them now deciding, hey, listen, this is how I plan on, you know, breaking the cycle. This is how I plan on, you know, making this impact in my community to change the narrative. So, you know, like I said, for me, it's to just, like I said, reach one, teach one, right? You know, us men, once again, we need to be able to reach each other to then teach not only each other, but then start teaching others, right? Start teaching, you know, younger generation, because once again, they need it. They need it more now more than ever. There's a lot that's going on, and now more than ever, we need to be able to teach these kids, you know, what, you know, how they should be, you know, dealing with whatever the issues may be, right? But once again, it starts with us being able to deal with ourselves. I know that can tend to be a little bit difficult because we may not know how to deal with it. But, you know, listen, pick up the phone, call somebody who you know you can trust, and start, you know, the conversation with them. I've always said, and, you know, I've always heard that if you can't trust everybody with everything, trust somebody with something. Right? So I've taken it upon myself, and, you know, I can tell you right now, I am lucky that I have my brothers, my sister, that I can have open and honest conversations with and not be judged. I know a lot of people don't have that ability to talk to their family members about whatever it may be. But I can definitely tell you, you know, my brothers, my sister, you know, heck, my cousins, I can, you know, pick up the phone with any one of them and say, yo, listen, what's up? This is how I'm feeling. Can you help me? Let's talk about it. And then at the end of that conversation, like, yo, I know I can tell them, yo, listen, I love you. And I'll get it back from them, you know, because, you know, that's just how we were raised. We were raised to be a tight-knit family and be able to lean on each other. Yes, I'm, you know, not to say learning that more now than ever. You know, I've been through that. But once again, as a man, it was still one of those things, you know, you got to keep certain things under wraps. You don't want to seem weak. You don't want to seem as if you're inferior to any other man or any woman. And I said, you know, hey, listen, at some point, I got to get over that, right? Men, we have to understand, at some point, we have to get over that, because you're no stronger. You're no good for yourself if you're not good for others, right? You're weaker alone than you are with others, right? It's hard to combat things on your own than it is with a group of people that you know, that you can trust, right? A lot of people say, man, listen, now you can do whatever you want on your own. I mean, it's true. That's true. But I can tell you it's harder. It's a lot harder to get across a broken bridge by yourself than it is with a team, with a strong team. Understand that, right? It's a lot harder to build a bridge alone than it is with a strong team. So over the last couple of weeks and last couple of days, like I said, you know, months, last year or so, I've really been honing in on, it's really 20 things. Actually, it's maybe a little bit more that I've been able to say, man, listen, you know what? I know that I can do this. I know that I can, you know, start implementing these things. I know that I should be doing these things that will help me out with my mental health. So I want to kind of share those things with you so that you can try. That's the first thing, right? Nobody's saying that you can be able to do this overnight. And being able to try something new, there's nothing wrong with it, because at some point in your life, you know, everything new to you, you had to try it. You were not an expert at it. So you had to try little things here and there to then either be good at it, great at it, or say, hey, listen, all right, maybe I need to retool this and, you know, change it up and do something different, or add to it so that I can, you know, obviously, you know, progress on it, whatever it was. You had to, you know, like I said, at first, try it. So for me, once again, these are things that I started to try out, started to see whether it was good for me, if it wasn't good for me at the particular time, or how I could, you know, enhance whatever that particular thing was, so that I can actually start, you know, keeping that in on a regular routine. So things that I did, like I said, you know, to start managing my mental health, my mental wealth, right? Because your health is your wealth, right? Understand that. Your health is your wealth. If you don't have that mindset, that mind frame, then you just, you know, physically deteriorate. Mentally, obviously, you will deteriorate. And, you know, you want to obviously have that mindset that your mental health is your wealth, right? So a few things that I started to do, like I said, man, first thing was I started, you know, exercising. I've always been a gym rat, right? I want to say going back to 2012, maybe 2013. When I first started working for that organization, there was a gym. We had a gym at the facility. So I started working out there, and I'm not gonna lie, I was starting out 2-a-days, man. I was, you know, in the gym there in the morning, and then after work, me and my boys would go hit up the gym again. Just doing 2-a-days for, it wasn't, I'm not gonna lie, I was not doing it 5 days consistently. I think I was doing 3, sometimes 4 days, because it was 2-a-days. So, you know, I kind of double dipped, and I didn't really need to do 5-6 days a week. So, so since 2013, I was kind of on a regular schedule, almost just about regular schedule, but, you know, here and there taking breaks, you know, for many different reasons. But now I'm more on a regular schedule. I'm in the gym 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days if I'm able to get there on the weekend. But 5 days a week, I'm in the gym, you know, hour and a half, just, you know, getting my body right. And as I'm getting my body right, I'm getting my mind right, because I'm feeding myself all positive stuff, whether it's you know, Eric Thomas radio on Pandora, or I'm listening to, like I said, Les Brown on Spotify. I'm just, you know, feeding my mind all positive stuff. And, you know, as mental health experts or doctors will tell you, you know, that early morning when you first wake up, once you start feeding your brain, you know, all positive stuff, the rest of your day only continues to be positive, right? There are times when, you know, you are up just feeding yourself nothing but good, and then something throughout the day happens that throws you for a loop. You know, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, because it does. It's just, I feel it's a lot easier to get back on track, because you always go back to whatever it was that was said in the beginning of the day, at the beginning of the day, right? Something that, you know, it hit you differently, because, man, that was the first thing I heard, and not the BS and the garbage of, you know, what some of these rappers talk about nowadays. That's not the thing that's in your mind. It's whatever that positive, you know, thing was in the morning that just, you know, resonates with you. And that's why, like I said, I tone out. I'm not gonna lie, I don't listen to the rap stuff anymore. I'll listen to Christian rap, Lecrae, Bizzle, you know, these guys, these rap artists that, you know, only spew out positive stuff, right? It's Christian stuff, but when you listen to the message, it's all positive stuff. So I listen to that all day, just to obviously keep my mind going. This, obviously a substitute to all the negative stuff, but yeah, so I do get my rap in. It's just through, gospel music now. So like I said, early morning, I'm, exercising and I'm listening to these things that's keeping me positive minded. Because I need to make sure I'm good for throughout the day. Cause where I'm currently employed, I'm not gonna lie to you, it can bring on a lot of stress. However, I find ways of being able to, deal with that by, just continuously being positive and continuously, motivating not only myself, but the people that's around me. Because if I am not able to motivate them, I'm not going to be able to motivate myself. If I'm not able to motivate myself, I'm not going to be able to motivate them. So, yeah, man, first things first, like I said, exercising, listening to positive things. Then I started to eat more healthy. I wasn't a fan of quinoa, but I tried this, what's one, Southwest something from Publix. I'm not gonna lie, that thing be bussin'. So I do some quinoa, maybe twice a week. And like I said, I just started maybe a little bit more than that, 3 times a week. And then everything else, whatever the meats are, I eat it in portions, light portions. I try to stay away from all of the really fatty foods, because I just, like I said, when I started to eat right, I started to feel a whole lot better. So I just, like I said, keep away from all of the things that, obviously will make me not feel right. So started to eat healthier. One thing that is still on my list, right? Is still on my list. I find that one to be a little difficult, because whether it's me going to sleep late or waking up early, I just need to find more time of being able to sleep. But with all the businesses that I also run on the side, it becomes harder for me to be able to actually get some good sleep in. So I'm gonna figure that out. But sleeping, getting a good sleep, regimen is good for you, for your mental health, right? Because obviously, if you're well rested, your mind obviously is not working as much, so you can actually have your mind rest as well. So getting a good, good night's sleep will definitely help. Avoiding alcohol. Whew. I'm just gonna be honest. I mean, to the people who are watching this, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I do, on not a regular basis. This is on occasions. This is on special occasions. I have to be like out and about in, at a restaurant with my wife, or out with my homeboys. And even then I still don't consume like heavily, but I am very lightly portioned. I am a social drinker, but not even a heavy social drinker. But once again, that's one thing that I am working on, is trying to get rid of that completely. But yeah, so another thing is taking a tech break. I'm working on that, as a lot of my things that I typically do is obviously, tech, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, those are my platforms that pushes me and my brand. But, hey, every once in a blue, you might want to say, all right, going down from 4 hours, 5 hours a day of tech, take it down to 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Try to cram in everything that you need to do within a shorter window, to where you can say, all right, I got done with all that I need to do, tech wise. Let me get away from that stuff. Let me read something. Let me exercise. Let me, take a walk. Whatever it is that can keep you away from that, keep you off of a screen. Start trying that, because it helps. It helps out a lot. Meditate and breathe. I don't meditate. I do breathe. I woosah a lot. And that's usually when I'm, getting in the car in the morning, getting ready to go to the gym, right after the gym, or on my way home, right before I come home, I am woosah and I'm taking breaths. You know, I'm doing a repetition of, you know, what is it, 5 breaths. Deep breath in. I do that 5 times, right? 5 times every time I'm doing that. So 5 before the gym, after the gym, after work. So 15 times a day, right? Taking deep breaths. And you know, sometimes intermittently in between, you know, if I'm, you know, in a bad situation, whether it's at work or home, you know, I take a breath or 2 here and there, you know, just to, like, you know, I said, calm myself down, you know. But yeah, taking a deep breath. Stay informed. Stay informed on all of the, and when I say stay informed, I'm talking about all of the mental health stuff. Things that will teach you on how to cope and manage your mental health. Because yes, once again, I talked about it earlier, you should be able to learn and be able to speak from experience. However, if you do not educate yourself on these sort of things, you won't then internally and personally be able to actually practice those things. Because if I did not read about how to actually manage my stress or my, you know, mental health, then I wouldn't have been able to actually practice any of those things. So as I started to read, I started to, you know, say, okay, you know what, this is a new thing that I should be able to start implementing in my day-to-day. And then I just started implementing it. So just staying informed on all things that you can that will help you deal with your mental health. Get outside. Get outside. Go for a walk down the block, you know, to do 2 laps around the block. If you got, you know, a park around you, go to the park, play some basketball, do something that'll make you, you know, get active. Because when you're thinking about nothing else but that thing, that activity, which is outside, not inside, you stay inside the house. So here's my thought on that. When you're inside of a house, inside of a room, and you're thinking about certain things, right? Yes, it's going out into the world, but in actuality, it's going out into this room that you're locked in. And so as it's going out, it's bouncing off these walls, and then it's coming right back to you. But if you're outside and as you're thinking about these things and you're releasing them, you're trying to release them, right? All these things that you're thinking about, and you're saying, man, listen, I'm going to get rid of this, or I'm going to start working on that, or whatever it might be. As you're thinking about them and releasing all of those thoughts, if you're outside, they're just going, they're leaving you. Now all your focus is on basketball, football, soccer, frisbee, you know, jogging, whatever it is. Now that's all your main focus is on. And, you know, figuring out ways of woosahing, right? Dealing with, you know, nothing else but maintaining that, you know, that sense of calmness. So, like I said, you know, it doesn't have to be a long amount of time that you're outside. Do 10 minutes. Start out with 10 minutes. You know, do 10 minutes outside, right? Well, whatever it is, walking, jogging, you know, laughing. Do 10 minutes outside. And then, you know, go back to resuming whatever it is. And then, you know, if you can add more time to that on a week-to-week basis, you know, hey, by all means, do that. Because you'll then start seeing, you know, a different you. Stay connected with people. Stay connected with like-minded people. Stay connected with people that are going to be positive. Stay connected with people that are going to, you know, help you through whatever it is, whatever your issues are. If you're able to pick up the phone and say, hey, help me out, you want to stay connected. And that person says, I got you. And not in a judgmental way, but hey, I got you. Stay connected to that person. I promise you, it'll help you out in the long term. Stay connected to the people that are wanting to see you succeed. Stay connected to the people that want to see you happy. If you're with somebody who is negative Nancy, Debbie Downer, man, you might want to rethink your circle. You might want to rethink the people that you consider to be close to you. Listen, I'm not saying get rid of them. I'm just saying, find somebody that is going to be that outlet for you for, hey, how can I deal with this? I'm dealing with this. How do I overcome this, right? You got to stay connected to those type of people, right? Because once again, if you don't have them in your corner, who will you have? Negative Nancy, all she's going to do is, oh, man, you all this and you. Listen, Nancy, I ain't trying to be talking to you. Karen, I ain't trying to talk to you. Debbie Downer, listen, please stop. I don't want to be around you. Right? Find somebody you want to be around. Find somebody who wants to be around you, and that's going to continuously uplift you as you're uplifting them. Right? It's a two-way street, not a one-way street. Sometimes, yes, I understand you are going through your challenges, through your struggles, but you want to be able to help that person out as well. So find that, stay connected. And last but not least, ask for help. Ask for help. There is nothing wrong. And listen, I'm mainly talking to my men, right? However, once again, this goes for anybody, right? The 10 things that I just ran off, man, listen, you want to be able to ask for help. Men, there is nothing wrong in asking for help. I know, once again, we are looked at as the protector, as the provider, as the breadwinner, as the strong figure, whether it's in the household or out in the streets, wherever. We are looked at as that. However, if you are in a situation where you don't have the ability to be that person because you are struggling with something, ask for help. Tap out, tag out. Hey, I need the help. I need this. Listen, this is not something that I have overcome as of yet. I'm still working on that. So here's why I say that, right? Because with my wife, I can ask her for certain things, right? But there's only so much that as a woman, and no knock on her because she's a woman, but she doesn't understand and see it from a male's perspective, right? So it becomes harder for me to step out and say, hey, listen, help me with this. So I am, and once again, I talk about it. I find you a pocket of guys, or find you a guy, or find a male that you can open and honestly have conversations, and have the ability to say, hey, listen, I need help, right? Help me with this. Even if it's an understanding of, something small. Find that person who you can say, hey, listen, help me. Help me. Right? So, this is, and I'm actually challenging you guys, right? So I just ran off 10 things that that you can do on managing your health, right? So the challenge, guys, is first identify 5 to 10 of what is called your battle buddies. 5 to 10 of your battle buddies. When I mean battle buddies, like, listen, and there's a meme that goes around, like, if you were to call this person, sorry, here you go. You have one phone call. This person don't answer the phone, you get shot. Who is that person you calling? Right? But instead of it being one person, you got 5 to 10 people that if you call all 5 or 10 people on the first ring, they're answering. Matter of fact, not even on the first ring, but phone ringing, they're going to answer the phone. Who are those 5 to 10 people? Those are your battle buddies. I can tell you right now, I know 5 right off the bat. And I'm not talking about siblings. I'm not talking about my wife. I'm talking about people outside of that. That I know if I pick up the phone right now, call them, they're going to answer the phone. And they're going to be like, hey, I got this going on. You ready? You riding? Let's go. Oh, I need help on this. You got me? Find those battle buddies. And even if you don't have them, right? But you know, hey, listen, all right, this person I can definitely have as a battle buddy. Still call that person anyways and say, hey, listen, I've been going through some things. And I know you have a keen sense of understanding of how to potentially deal with this. And I would like where I can call you if I'm dealing with certain things. And just to help me out with those things. I would like for you to be my battle buddy. Identify that person, call them up, send them a text message, send them an email, whatever it is, DM them and say, hey, listen, I would like for you to be my battle buddy. And see how things start working out for you, right? So find you a battle buddy, 10 battle buddies, 5 to 10 battle buddies. And then the next thing is take a 10-minute self-check of not only your mental health, but your hygiene, right? And then if you see any flaws within any of those two, right, find a way of changing those habits, right? Whatever, if the mental health check, like in your mental health check and your hygiene check, if you see, man, listen, all right, maybe I can do better with brushing my teeth, twice a day, 3 times a day, whatever it is. But I only do it once. I only do it 1.5 times. Then, hey, listen, all right, you know what? Let me, for this many days, and actually, let's do this in a 10. It's phase 10. Ooh, phase 10. Love that game. So as we're doing this challenge, we're talking about 10, doing everything in 10 in tens, in increments of 10s, right? So we got our 10 battle buddies. Then we want to work on doing these 10-minute checks, right? Every day. Doing 10-minute checks of your mental health. 10-minute check of your hygiene check, right? Because once again, hygiene goes into your, whole body, right? Your whole mind, right? If you look and feel good, then your mental is going to be good, right? So you're doing a 10-minute check on your personal hygiene, 10-minute check on your mental health, right? If there are certain flaws that you see within them, start working on them. Find ways of being able to work on those things, right? And like I said, we're going to do that for a 10-day period. Start out with a 10-day in a 10-day period, because as you work on them on a day-to-day basis, you start progressing, right? So all the 10 things that I ran off to you: eat healthy, exercise, sleep, avoiding alcohol, take a tech break. Take a tech break. Got tongue tied. Meditate and breathe. Stay informed with all the new mental health topics, trends, whatever it is that you can now start doing to help you with your mental health, right? Staying informed on that, right? Getting outside, staying connected to your 10 battle buddies, 5 to 10 battle buddies, right? Staying connected with them and being able to communicate with them, and then being able to ask for help. Maybe not asking all 10 of your battle buddies for help, but asking people for help, right? Doing it. Let's have that challenge. Do 10 things for 10 days with your 10 battle buddies and see how that goes. And here's one thing that I've always heard and said, you know, we should do. Document the process. Document the process. Right? Because you don't know that it actually is helping if you don't document, right? So document the process. And the last thing I want to kind of talk to you guys about is just the tips on how to boost your mental health, right? Because we talked about ways of managing your mental health, but how can we now boost our mental health? And you know, this may be a part 2 to it, so I might, you know, just end up running through it because, listen, we run out of time, and you know, I don't want to really like hit y'all with too much all at once, because like I said, I mean, you know, I'm just coming back and, you know, want to give you guys something to really think about. But you know, let's just kind of run through, you know, 10 tips on, about 10 tips on how to boost your mental health. First thing is track gratitude, right? So any sort of gratitude that you give out or you get, start tracking that. And then also any sort of accomplishments or achievements that you have, that you make, right? Whether it's small or large, track that. Set up a getaway. You want to be able to get away for yourself, right? On your own. So set up a getaway. Work through your strengths. Work through your strengths. 4, identify any of your weaknesses and make them your strengths. That's key. That's key. So 5, show love to someone in need. Show love to someone in need, man. I love seeing those videos, TikTok, YouTube, somebody just writing a note saying, hey, you know, I don't know if you need to hear this, but hey, I love you, to a complete stranger. So even if it's somebody you know, listen, pick up the phone, call them, say, hey, listen, just want to tell you I love you. Show love to that person. Show love to somebody. Be open and honest about things that you have yet to tell anybody that has happened in your life. Listen, be able to laugh. Take time to laugh. It's really important that you take time to laugh. Listen, laughter heals the soul. All right, those are some sayings that I didn't come up with, but I mean, it's reality. When you laugh, you feel good, man. So just take time to laugh at, you know, something. Find a, you know, good, clean comedy. Find something comedic, something that is very comedic to you, and then just laugh about it. Just laugh, you know. Take some time to laugh, you know, to yourself. Tap out. Tap out. I talked about this earlier, man. Tap out of technology, right? Tap out of certain things that is going to put you in a negative mind frame. That's going to have you overthink, and not overthink in a positive way, but overthink in a negative way, right? Tap out of that, right? Take some time to just get away from it. You know, it's okay to take a breather from whatever that is, and then, you know, come back to it later. But tap out. I mean, like I said, the biggest thing you want to tap out of is technology, because there's so many things just floating around right now, social media, whatever it is. Leave it alone for a bit. You know, it's okay. It's okay to say, hey, listen, I'll be back to you in a little bit. It's not going anywhere. So take some time to just get away from whatever that is, and then just come back with a, you know, fresher mindset. Tap out, tap out, tap out. When something is bothering you, write it down on a piece of paper and then deal with it. How do you deal with it? Listen, call one of your battle buddies. Ask them, hey, listen, can you help me deal with whatever this is? Write it down, and then if you have a trash dispenser, throw it in there. Throw it in the trash can. Burn it. Burn it, because then that's another way that you can say, hey, listen, I know that this problem, this issue is not going to be a continuous problem, not going to be a continuous issue. So I will deal with it the best way I know how. And first step is just burning it, right? Burn it. Last but not least, do something meaningful with family or friends. Do something very meaningful with family or friends. I don't know how many times when I felt discouraged, and once again, nobody may know this. Nobody may know that I am dealing with, whatever that particular issue is. And I just say, man, listen, let me go have, some quality family time. Let me go and go to the, bar real quick, with a friend, and just, talk to them, just, chit chat with a friend. I don't know how many times I mean, whatever it was, I just said, hey, listen, let me just take, some time away from whatever that is, and then just do something that is going to make me feel good, make me feel better about myself. So take that time to do something meaningful, because it just helps with whatever it is, right? But like I said, man, these are some tips and tricks that will help you with boosting your mental health. And like I said, I'll jump more into those maybe at a later date. I do feel that this mental health topic is a forever growing and evolving topic, and it's something that should be talked about and addressed on a regular occurrence. And like I said, for me, I'm definitely trying to find a way of ultimately dealing with it, and coping with it and managing it. But, for me, like I said, I'm taking it one day at a time, figuring out new ways of being able to deal with it and cope with it and manage it. But I can definitely tell you I'm not doing it alone. I am in so many different groups with guys that I know that I can easily pick up the phone and say, hey, listen, yo, I need to talk. Yo, let's talk. And I'm not talking about, listen, I'm just talking about real world stuff, like real world issues that I am having that I know they may also be going through themselves, and just kind of piggybacking off of them and, feeding in and off of, the information that they're providing me. Because listen, if all I'm doing is listening to what they're saying, it doesn't benefit me. So I'm listening and hearing, and then actively hearing and actively listening to what they're saying, and then putting those things into practice. Those are key, right? When you actively listen, when you actively hear, when you then respond with what was said, and you do right on it, right? You act on it. Because if you don't, then once again, those are things that just goes, listen, it goes in one ear, out the other. So you want to be, actively listening, actively hearing what they're saying, to then put those things into practice, finding ways of, putting those things into practice that's going to make you better. So that's just, once again, my challenge to you guys in particular. Find a way of being able to, like I said, open up and communicate with others. Opening up and communicate with, people that are going to help you through whatever your mental health struggles may be. All right, so I'm gonna leave you with this, man. This comes from one of my daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, lifetime motivators and encouragers, Mr. Les Brown. And he says, don't let someone else's opinion of you become your reality. Don't let someone else's opinion of you become your reality, because that can definitely hurt, not help. It can definitely hurt your mental. So listen, man, keep that in mind. It's your boy Jeffrey, aka Papa J, and you have tuned into another episode of Just Talking with Jeffrey. Have a wonderful week.